Well, but I hope Sony doesn't make the mistake where they put VR as part of the package. You know what I'm saying? Where they bundle VR as a like. I can understand. I could understand. Hold on.
Mhm.
I'm hearing myself. Okay, so I can understand if they do make like special edition VR bundles. All right, I get that, but I'm talking about like default. This is the PlayStation 5. It comes with VR, and now it's like $600. I hope they
Yeah,
don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I understand a lot of people like VR. That's perfectly fine. You know, I'm looking forward to it. You know, right now I haven't made the jump yet, but I understand a lot of people
mhm.
like VR. But there's gonna be people who don't care for it, and they have the right not to care for it. You know
Yeah,
what they want is when they buy a PlayStation, they want the console, they want the controller, they want to plug it on their TV, they want to connect it to the internet if they choose to, and play games. They don't want, you know, they're not hating on VR. They just don't want it. You understand what I'm saying? So because VR is a
yeah,
choice, you know. So when you look at a PlayStation console, what you want is the PlayStation console. Everything else is secondary. You know, it should be an optional choice. Yeah, if you want VR, go buy it, enjoy it, but don't make me buy it. Don't make me spend an extra $200 for something I really don't want. You know, and I'm
yeah,
speaking on behalf of people. So I hope Sony doesn't do that to where Sony, because even though VR is gaming, you know, is pushing
mhm.
gaming, it is still putting something ahead of what PlayStation is at its core. PlayStation is at its core a gaming console for that specific platform. VR is not PlayStation 5. You know what I'm saying? Does that kind of make sense? You know,
Yeah, yeah,
does it make
yeah.
sense? When people think of PlayStation, they think of the console. You
Mhm.
download a game and you put a disc in. That's PlayStation, nothing else. For people who want more PlayStation, like the VR, then fine, buy that separately. But don't put the people in a position where they're like, I'm not paying $600 simply because you're trying to force VR on me. So I'm gonna go with Xbox. Sony has to be real careful with that line to not to cross that line. People want PlayStation. Everybody will buy the PlayStation for PlayStation. For those that want VR, the option is there. It's on the shelf. I think Sony's doing a phenomenal job supporting it. You know what I'm saying? I think they should just leave it at. So that's a concern I have. How far deep are they going to try to push the VR narrative? I think they should just do it the way it is now. An option, people want it, let them buy it. Sure, maybe a few bundles, you know, packing
Mhm.
bundles, the VR special bundle. Okay, I get that. But don't make it the main school where that's the only option you have. So now it's a $600 VR PS5. You know what I'm saying? Don't do
Yeah.
that. You know. Now, if they do this VR bundle for $400, okay, that's you know what I'm saying. That's not bad because I don't think the Xbox is going to be any cheaper than 400. So you know, all right, I get that. People be like, God damn, $400, you get a console and the VR, while the competitor is at the same price or even more expensive. Okay, people will get that. And you still make a nice, powerful console that can keep up with the generation. Okay, somehow Sony pulled it off, but I don't see that happening. If anything, I see VR still costing $200-300 because they're gonna make it better performance, maybe wireless. You know what I mean? This is gonna be
Yeah.
the next generation VR.
Yeah, if it
You know?
goes wireless, I'll look to purchase one. If it's you're gonna have all the wires, and shout out to Randall Thor because he was, he and J Dub. I think J Dub got him a VR, but
Yeah,
Randall Thor, that was his only complaint was the wiring,
yeah,
getting all that situated. But that was so yeah. I hopefully they can condense it down. I know they changed it a little bit already, but if they can get it to go wireless, even if it's just a 2-hour battery or whatever, 3.5, 4-hour battery, that to me, I would look to, go ahead and pick one up because when it was 199, I think it was 199 or 299 last year. Yeah, I almost bought one then. I mean, it was close, but I held off. So yeah, because if they're making another console and it'll be more powerful, and we don't have to worry about all the other stuff. That's what I'm waiting on, for somebody to get their hands on it and condense it down, like you said, make it wireless.
yeah, yeah. I think that would be a big plus. for VR headset is going wireless. I know, it just makes it seem more premium. You know what I mean? Um, especially when people, the distance of the TV and the console could be lengthy. Some people don't have it within that cable's reach.
True.
So
Good point.
so that's also, and it's also less clutter. So that's a good thing on that aspect and whatever. But we'll see how it goes. But like I said, my only concern for the VR is Sony do not make it the standard school to bundle it to where now the consoles $500-600. Just focus on the console, focus on the performance of the console. Make sure the console is built with third party and your own first party in mind, and then that's it. That's all you got to worry about.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be questions people are going to have with backwards compatibility. Am I going to be able to play my PS4 games on there? And I know some people talk about, well, when I buy a PS5, it's only going to be PS5 games. I think at this point, we live in an age where people want to carry over the stuff they bought onto the next platform. And I think it's because of the phone industry. Imagine buying an iPhone 9 and none of the apps you bought on an iPhone 8 carries over. That's not gonna fly. Imagine buying the next Galaxy 10 or whatever, and none of your Galaxy 9 apps carry over. That's not gonna fly with people. People are not gonna play that. I think we're in a generation where your applications and software has to carry over to the next platform. And I think Sony realizes that. I think it doesn't really take a genius at this point that we hit that age. So I think Sony knows at a minimum PlayStation 4 games have to carry over to PlayStation 5, and then they all have to carry over to PlayStation 6, and it's just an infinite, and they never have to drop off. So I could imagine that. Where the key, I think the challenge is going to be is what are they going to do with the previous games, PlayStation 3, 2, and 1. Now, I will say this. Sony, I think, should invest in trying to get those games onto the PlayStation platform, even if you can't register the PlayStation 3 2.1 disc in the PlayStation console, even if the gamers have to buy those games over digitally, but at least when you look at it, it refreshes, how would you put it, the shelf life of the game. You know what I'm saying? Because these games ain't sold no more. The only way you can find a lot of these games is either used plays or somebody selling it on eBay. But as far as being the main attraction, somewhere you could just easily go in and buy it, those games are long and gone. By putting them back on the store and have them playable on the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 6, and so on, they pretty much effectively gave these games that are already made and been out for a long time brand new shelf life. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm sure they've got a litany of things that they've got. I mean, to me, their biggest thing is when, if your PS4 is selling as well as it is, when do you actually go ahead and go to market with it? I personally think that the new Xbox, like the 360, because like you talked about how, with Peter Moore, how he did not want the Xbox, when he was at Microsoft, going toe-to-toe with Sony. That's why I've said to people, I said, look, if anything comes out first, it's going to be the Xbox, because it's got to. It's got to come out. So that's got to get their foot in the door.
That's an interesting point, only because Microsoft put themselves in a box, all right? And this is why you can't always react. This is what I find interesting between Sony and Microsoft. Sony doesn't react to fanboy banter. Let me use the word. I'm rephrasing. Not fanboy banter. Sony doesn't react too quickly with the reactions of gamers. All right. And I know some people may see that negative because you have to be careful what you're going to say. You understand? Microsoft, I think, jumps the gun too fast. Why?
Yeah.
Because Phil Spencer already said, he said it, they will never be outgunned in hardware ever again. So by making that statement, you can never come out first. You can't. Because if you come out first, then the console that comes out after will be more powerful because you gave them the room and the time to be more powerful.
Well, but let me ask you this: because I'm seeing the games that are on the PlayStation or they're on the Pro or something like that. They look better. I mean, I would put Horizon Zero Dawn up against anything on the X. I got the X here; it's backed up, but So I mean, I would put that came out last year.
Yeah.
I would put Mass Effect Andromeda, which is garbage. I'm talking about the story is trash, but it looks really good.
Yeah.
Up against anything on the X, you know, as far as a multi-plat game.
Yeah.
But if Sony's console, if the PS5, and we're just speculating here, if it's not as powerful, but it's hitting the targets that the developers, you know, wanted to hit, does it really matter, you know, at that point? You know, because you made a very good point about the console that's been the most powerful has really not fared well.
I'll be honest. I'll say this. As in terms of power, both companies, really every company, only need to worry about one main thing, and that's what is the third-party industry doing in terms of what they need to push the tools and the engines that they're creating. This has been Nintendo's, to this day, their Achilles heel. They do not care what third party are doing. They don't involve third party in design of their hardware to this day. They only do everything internal. And once they're done, they present to the world, this is our product, take it or leave it. Which is a terrible attitude. It's the reason why, like EA, they don't have full-fledged Frostbite support on the Switch. They had to create, a custom engine because the Switch can't handle Frostbite. Why? Because Nintendo never went to EA and be like, "Hey, what type of specs do you need to Frostbite run properly on the Nintendo Switch?" You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing: a lot of people, I'm glad. Here's the thing: I am so glad, to be honest, that Nintendo gamers are enjoying Fortnite. I am so glad they can't wait to play Warframe. You know what I'm saying? I'm so glad. I am so glad. They're excited about playing Wolfenstein on the go. I mean, I know we make fun of them in terms of 360p, but I am so glad that they're enjoying these games because now, on a serious note, no console or bullshit, they can never come back to me and tell me third party don't matter, that they buy Nintendo consoles for Nintendo games. Sorry, that in the realistic conversation, you know, you're done with that excuse. That excuse is over. The hype behind Fortnite, the hype behind Wolfenstein, the hype behind Warframe, you know, the hype behind any other third-party game that could potentially go to the Switch, these guys are done. You guys like third-party, you want third-party, no different than PlayStation gamers and Xbox gamers want. The days of we only buy Switch for Nintendo first-party is over. You've shown your true colors. I mean, hell, Fortnite was downloaded 2 million in the first day or so. The conversation's done. So you cannot tell me these guys don't want Battlefield. You cannot tell me they don't want Call of Duty. You cannot tell me they don't want Division and Destiny. Those days are over. You know, it's over. Yeah. You know, now.
I think what we can honestly. Oh, go ahead, bro.
Yeah,
go ahead.
And they cannot tell me they don't want Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead. Nah, it's over. All right, they want third party, right? Especially if they want to play it on the go, right? But here's the problem. Nintendo does not sync well with third party in terms of development of their platform. They don't go and be like, what are you guys doing? They have no interest in what third party is doing and how they're going to take their games to the next level. None at all. Nintendo just wants to do their thing, right? Okay. Yeah. And then that's it. Everybody just accepts it. You either take it or leave it, you know? Let me pay the bills real quick. Stuart Stokes, thank you for the super chat, brother. Thank you for the support. He says, I have an insider who told me that Xbox Scarlet is the first hybrid of a video game console. Oh, my God, in a dollhouse. yo, Stuart. Oh, man, you had me for a minute because I was reading it. I'm like, oh, shit, this is about to be good. And then oh, man, this guy's terrible. Thank you for the super chat. Oh, man, first hybrid dollhouse. Oh, snap. You know, so what you going to say?
I'm going to say, I think we've got documented proof that people want the games. They just don't want to go out and buy them on the whatever platform. So, I mean, you're right. The Nintendo people want third parties. So they're never going to come out and say it publicly. At least the ones that I know. I make that clear. The guys that I know that are on Nintendo. Which, again, to me, Nintendo, I'm sure that those third-party developers set benchmarks for Nintendo to hit where they even thought about supporting it. And clearly with the advent of Rocket League, and then we see Hellblade, and then the near alma mater. It's gone from it being jack crap and stupid games with a little ball and with a car to all of a sudden, oh, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, say with No Man's Sky? Well, what's changed? Well, it's on a different platform, therefore it's okay now. Yeah, the hypocrisy is you got to get a Ginsu knife, maybe 2 of them, to cut through their bullshit and hypocrisy. So, and that's what's good to see people call out. Like, I don't know how they're going back a year, 2 years, and getting screenshots and then putting them on Twitter. They way more talented than me. I'm like, man, you guys should be programmers. Yeah. You know, that are able to to data mine like that. That's amazing. But yeah, I'm glad people are calling bullshit, and that's what needed to happen. I love it. You know, just keep it up. Keep it up. That's all I can say.
That not like if they only own that platform, like if you only own a PlayStation, if you only own a Switch, and you only own an Xbox, right? You only own one platform to play on. I don't see nothing wrong with a person being excited on a game that, even though it came out a year ago on another platform, it's available on your platform for the first time and you're excited about it. Where I see the hypocrisy is, you know, the game was out on another platform. The gamers who own that platform are excited about it, but yet you've been shitting on it. Oh, it's jab trash. No one cares about that. I only play multiplayer. Like, there's no reason for you to insult the games simply because you don't have the platform and you can't play it. If you see other gamers enjoying it, just ignore it. There's nothing you can do about it. You don't own the platform. You're not interested in owning the platform. Then just ignore it, and it is what it is, you know? But when the day comes, it does come to your platform, and now you have the opportunity to play it. Enjoy it, talk about it, because you can partake in the game you weren't able to talk about. But I do not believe anybody is genuine. In fact, it's just insane that someone will go jab trash, or they put memes of pissing on the floor saying every time I hear a Sony pony talk about Japanese games, and they show like a gif of pissing on the floor or whatever. But then all of a sudden you enjoy the game. That's not changing your mind. That's just straight up being a slave, you know, and that's across every platform. People do it. If you don't have access to the game because you only support one platform, just ignore it. The conversation is not for you. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even matter if you're interested. There's no reason to even say you're not interested. You can't play it. You don't have the option to play it because it's not on your console. So it doesn't even matter what your opinion is. If you're interested or not, you don't have the option to play it unless you buy the console that has the game. There's nothing you can do. So you don't even have to say you're not interested. You know what I'm saying? Just ignore it and don't worry about it. You know, most of my life I've been a multi-console owner, you know? So I don't really worry about playing games, you know? I have the console, I have an Xbox. If I want to play the game, I'll play it. It's not the type of thing where I'd be like, oh, this might come out on PlayStation, so I'm gonna wait. No. If I want to play it, I got the platform to play it, I'm going to play it. And then I'm going to give my critique on it. Like, for example, I even tell people, Rise is not going to be a better game if they make it on PlayStation. The game fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It's not magically going to be better on the PlayStation. You're not going to see me buy the game on PlayStation and I'd be like, oh, man, I love this game. No, the fucking game sucks. It's just not that good. And I'm talking about the gameplay aspect. Graphically, it's amazing. Story is pretty good. But gameplay is trash. It's not going to get better released on a PlayStation. It's just not. And it's not the type of game where 4K makes it better. It's just not. I don't see it that way. If I want to play the game, I'll play it. You know what I'm saying? It's not something where, oh, shit, it's on PlayStation? All right, got it. I'll check it out on PlayStation, you know? The only exception, and even then I still might not even get it, would be PUBG. But to be honest, I don't really have an interest in playing PUBG at all, you know? If I'm gonna play a multiplayer, yeah. I'm looking more forward to Anthem than I am any other game.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, with PUBG, with I can play H1Z1, and as far as the battle royale, I don't know for modes, but I call it Fort Pub, so I can play that, and it's free. But no, I mean, I don't see PUBG coming anytime soon because it's just no longer. I'm sure Sony was probably calling them twice a week, asking where it was, and now that phone call's probably happening once every 2 weeks because it's just no longer.
Yeah, like you said, I think that boat is sailed. Because even if it does come to
It's still coming,
PlayStation,
but I still think it comes soon.
yeah. But like, I haven't even played H1Z1, and it's free. Like that's how little interest. It's something like last gen with the PS3, even with the PS2, I was so huge into multiplayer. I was playing on Xbox, I was playing on PS3, even the PS2 era and Xbox OG Xbox. I was, playing a lot of Halo 2, SOCOM. I was playing that game all the time. But for some reason, like the multiplayer to me are literally rinse and repeat. It's just a fresh coat. It's just a different coat of paint. It's just literally you kill somebody for points, kills, assists, deaths, capture the flag, capture this point. It's literally the same shit. And like that's why I'm more hard. I've been going more towards the single player again, because when I play a single player game, it's literally different experiences. Like, I went from God of War to Detroit. Now I'm playing Batman Enemy Within. Then I might check out Deus Ex. Those are completely different experiences. But like if you go from PUBG to Fortnite to H1Z1, what are you really doing that's different? It's the same shit. It's the same battle royale mode. The point, you kill somebody so you can be the last man standing. Yeah. It's the same.
No, I don't.
Winner chicken dinner. It's the same thing. Sure, the graphics might be the same. The weapons a little bit different. Sure, Fortnite, you build a fucking fort, like you shoot somebody, then all of a sudden they build a Taj Mahal, and now you have to run around this building to find the guy. Okay, fine. It's a little different. But ultimately, what are you doing? You kill that guy, you kill this guy, and ultimately you're the last man standing to win. It's the same shit. I don't see. So like if you play one, you play them all.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's just I was kidding with somebody on Twitter. They were talking about Nier Automata, and I'm like, how is this the better version on Xbox when it's got fake 4K and fake HDR?
I don't know.
I said, now, if you want to say it's better because it got more, because it came with all the stuff and it was cheaper, fine. You got a better, like if I'm a consumer and I'm already cheapo, so I would be like, yeah, I can get everything for whatever it was, $39 or $49. But that is better for my wallet. But this is fake 4K and fake HDR, so I don't want to hear it,
That's why I don't get into that battle, because I knew it was going to get ugly. I even made a video a long time ago, before the Pro, before the X, before all that stuff, when it was like Project Neo and whatever. I told people, don't expect standard 4K. It's not going to happen. Like no console in the history of gaming has truly delivered the hype behind the graphics and resolution. Like none. Like they hype 1080p, you're going to get fucking sub 1080p games. It's going to happen. It's just it's just the reality, because like at the end of the day, the games, the console's going to be limited to the price. Like, if they release $1,000 console, sure, it's going to be native 4K across every title or some shit, but they're not going to release $1,000 console. It's going to be compromised. It's going to be compromised.
Compromised.
It's gonna be compromised, but it is what it is, Doesn't stop it from being the most powerful console. But that's why I'll be honest. Even when in the beginning of the gen, when Xbox was getting his head caved in for 720p, I didn't get into that on Twitter. Like it wasn't even something I wanted to troll about, only because when I look back my gaming history, most of my favorite consoles was always the weaker console. It was never really the console with the absolute best graphics and performance. It just never was. So I couldn't relate to the whole, the only thing I related to the whole 1080p versus 720p was the price. You have a console that's pushing 1080p for $400, then you have another console pushing 720p for $500. That was about the most. That's about as much as someone fucked up that I'm gonna go. Like I'm gonna be like, someone really screwed up on this one. That's about it, and it's only because of the price. Like if the Xbox One would have launched at $300, it wouldn't have been an issue. I would have been like, 720p. It's $100 cheaper. That makes sense. Kind of like what we have now with the Pro and the One X. Yes, the X is better. It's $100 more expensive, and it came out a year later. I mean, did you expect anything else but that result?
Yeah, that's what I've never understood. Is almost even though the Xbox One S is the top selling console and it has the absolute worst version, if you want to just look at the graphics of all the multiplats, I mean, they're terrible. All the games that have come out multiplat for both consoles, they're all running either, they're running at a higher resolution on the PS4, which is the highest selling PlayStation. So those two are still, to me, the benchmarks, because that's old faithful. These you do have a people. Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed in the and shout out to Beastfire Tim Dog, because he even said he's disappointed that a lot of these games aren't native 4K. This is kind of like, well, why would you think they would be? And there's, it's just, that's kind of where the argument is. But I agree with you. Xbox, they targeted 720p. They targeted standard HD, and Sony targeted full HD. And they were $100 cheaper. And I've said to people before, yeah, the fact that it was $100 cheaper, that's why it sold more. Period. That's why it sold more, because people were saying at the time, that's an extra joystick if you got a couple kids. That if you're just playing, it's an extra game plus a couple months of PSN. Or, you want to get on PSN. Of course, it's going to sell more. That's but Xbox came with more stuff. It came with a headset that actually was comfortable, because that earpiece that Sony came out with was straight garbage. To this day, it's trash. So but yeah, it's just I agree with you. The price to me was everything. But let me caveat it with this: we got to understand, poor Rod, there's a group of people who think because it says Microsoft on it, or Microsoft makes it, that automatically makes it better. That's their mindset. Well, you got to pay the bill.
Yeah, my man Carl Crespin, thank you so much for the super chat. They don't care about having the best hardware as they say they do, or else they would be on PC. It's just for bragging rights, which is stupid. I kind of agree with that across the board, because if you absolutely want the best multiplats, I don't care what side of the fence you're on, PC has always been the main platform, because you can consistently upgrade it whenever you feel like it, because they're always making new hardware every year. So you get to pick and choose when you're ready to move on. You're not waiting for next gen. You do it when you want, based on your budget. Also, you can adjust the frames, which is huge for a lot of gamers. This is the big thing. A lot of gamers want the hardware with the best versions of multiplats, right? But they don't consider the frame rate, which is possibly one of the most important keys to the best gaming experience. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't see how you want the best versions of something, but not put frame rate as part of a litmus test, or as part of a huge factor into your best experience. You know what I mean? So so that's what, like me, I just want a good experience, but I was never into let me get the best experience, because if I wanted the best experience in gaming, I'm gonna go PC, because I can actually go for the stuff that makes the experience the smoothest, the best, mostly the frames, because once you and Kratos, you probably could talk about this, especially once you play games above 60 frames. For a lot of people, and some people like, how does a person could really tell if a game's 30 and not 60? A game's 30, not really 60. It's because some of these dudes, they play at 90 frames for so long, and they just consistently, they yell because they play it all the best way I could explain it. Imagine you go on a highway and you drive, like here in Germany. When I went to the Autobahn and you leave the city limits, it's no restriction. You go as fast as the fuck you want. So at one point I pushed a little over 130 miles an hour. That shit made my palms sweat. Like I couldn't consistently drive at that speed because it was making me nervous. Like I would think like, yo, what if there's like a nail? My car's gonna fucking you're dead. It's like there is no surviving at that speed. So I dropped it down to like 110. 110, I was more comfortable. So I'm driving 110 miles an hour, maybe for a good 2 hours. Like this is a long stretch. No, I'm exaggerating. For like 45 minutes, right?
Yeah. Good
stretch. Then I hit the city limit where you drop down to, even though this kilometers, but it's equivalent to like 60 miles an hour. I felt I was driving at a snail's pace at 60. Like I felt like I was driving at a residential area. When any other time, 60 miles is still pretty fast. But when you go from like 120, 110 to like 40, it feels like you're just not going anywhere, right? So I would imagine it's the same for PC gamers. They play at 90 frames all the damn time. And then the one time they play at 30, the shit is just unbearable. They're literally seeing the character walk step by step, frame by frame, because they're just so used to, their eyes are so just used to the complete
smoothness.
What you think?
The smoothness. Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, think about it. PUBG. I had PUBG before it came out to the X. And I was playing on a PC. Obviously, it was running perfect, butter smooth. 90 to 100 frames a second. Then you play it on the X, and it's running. Give it 30, right?
Even it was 30. I don't think. Remember, they talked about 60.
It was sub 30 really when it came out. But I'm just for the sake of just giving an example.
Lock 30. Let's say lock 30.
It's impossible for a PC guy to go to a console and play at those type of frames. Trust me, it's just impossible, and you're going to notice it. And this is why most PC guys, they can't see how console guys continue to play these games in that particular fashion.
But that's only because, like I said, unless you go out there, like in America, you're not driving legally 120 miles for 45 minutes without getting pulled over. You know what I'm saying? That just doesn't happen. So you'll never experience that level of speed. And then when you drop down to 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, you'll realize, holy shit, I feel like I'm driving through the school zone right now. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway, a good warm up. Go ahead.
Go
ahead. Finish up because we're going to move on to the next topic. Go ahead. Say what you're saying.
Yeah, real quick. I was just going to say, I don't disagree. Look, I played Far Cry 5 on a friend of mine's PC, and it was 1440p, but it was running like 80 to 90 frames per second. And I played it for like 20 minutes, something like that. And then when I came back upstairs, he was downstairs. I played it on the Xbox. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is like being in molasses. Literally, it felt like I was in molasses moving around. So I can't go back and play it now at 30 frames per second. So, and I play a lot of RPG, so I don't care if it's 30 or something like that. I just don't like popping. I hate that stuff.
That's another thing, Porter Rock, that you might want to kind of elaborate on is, do every game have to have a 60 frames per second? If you take a game, let's say like Detroit, right? People call it walking simulator. They call it whatever they want. But the type of game it is, it's not a lot of fast-paced action. It's not, a bunch of shooting and stuff like that. So would a game like that benefit from having 60 frames?
I don't know. I mean, again, only you could tell, because I know you played a lot of games above 60 frames. So if you're constantly playing at above 60, then you play a game like Detroit. If you notice the frame, like if you know that bothers a lot of people, like they notice it, and some people feel that takes them out of experience. It just depends on what bothers you. Like me, a lot of games are 30 frames simply because the game is playable at 30 frames, and they make the game look better. Like, do I think, like would I cry? Like, let's say, would Detroit at 60 frames be nice? I would assume it can't hurt it, right?
Yeah.
But am I going to flip the fuck out that it's at 30? No, I'm not. Horizon Zero Dawn's at 30 frames, and I love that game. So
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I guess would I prefer 60 or what? Yeah, would I prefer 60 across all games? Of course. If the console could pull it off, hell yeah. Like, I'm not going to argue with trying to get games to be at a minimum 60 across the board. That would be a great thing. It will benefit every game. It certainly won't hurt the game. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
It certainly won't hurt the game. If the games could, keep the graphical fidelity and maintain 60 frames, it won't hurt the game at all. You know what I'm saying? So I have no issue with it.
I think we can all agree options are the key, right? Give people the option to run their games at 60 frames. And if you have to sacrifice resolution, then so be it. Or, or some detail, so be it. But to me, any shooter or any racer, I think it should be mandatory 60, bar none. You have to focus on the frames over anything else.
Yes, I agree.
What about Drive Club, J-Dub?
You know what? And it doesn't matter how much they use techniques to trick your eyes to make the game seem like it's faster than what it really is. Because take a game like Drive Club. To me, it doesn't seem slow at all. You know,
Right.
it's an arcade racer, so obviously they're able to pull off the trickery and stuff like that. But if that game ran 60 frames per second, it would be that much better. I think my experience.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Kratos. Did we lose him? I'm muted. Oh man, Microsoft got him. Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with what he's saying though. I also wanted to ask him about that. Did you see that new steering wheel he got? The McLaren one.
Who? That
I wanted to ask him.
I don't do steering wheels.
Yeah,
I know.
I was asking when he pops back on because he got a cool, unboxing of it. He had graphics and everything on there. I'm like, damn, and music.
Yeah, Craig.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm back.
You unbox a steering wheel?
Yeah, I had the pedals, the steering wheel.
Oh, you got exposed. So we want to do unboxing videos of controllers, but not games. You exposed, dog. You just got exposed. You got exposed, dog.
Yeah,
you exposed.
Exactly. Hey,
how does that?
Hey, I'm the racer guy.
Hey, to the chat, you just got an exclusive expose. My man want to unbox controllers, but he doesn't do unboxing games. Kratos got exposed. That's cool. I know you're a big racer, man. Once I saw that like $5,000 racing setup, I'm like, man, that setup is more expensive than the car I actually do drive. Oh hell no!
Yeah, it's.
But does the car handle differently than the regular joystick?
Did you wear the white gloves when you unboxed it? That's impatient fire.
Man, you know what? I thought about it after I did that. I thought about it. I said, man, it would have been really good if I would have had those Major Nelson gloves.
Oh, the Mickey Mouse gloves.
Yeah, he had those on the other day. Didn't he? I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That's all I said.
All right, hey, I want to move on to the main theme of the show. So the title of the show is Sony letting us gamers know they will not mess up with the PlayStation 5. And then let me set up the background, all right? So I made 2 videos based on pretty much Sony reminiscing. They're reminiscing the triumphs, their defeats, their mistakes, and stuff like that. We'll first start with Sean Layden, right? So I made a video on Sean Layden based on an article that took some big quotes, and he reflected on the day Casarai called him, in 2007, right? He was working in London. He was in programming, and I guess he was on his way home or something. He's on the train station, got a phone call, and the secretary says, stand by for the CEO of Sony. And he's like, oh, okay. And Casarai's like, hey, how you doing, buddy? And he goes, yeah, I'm doing all right, and he tells him, hey, how long you been with London Studios? And Sean Layden in his mind thinking he knows how long I've been here, so I'm going to tell him the truth. So he told him I was there 4 years, whatever, some days. And Casarai's like, yep, sounds all right. Oh, guess what? I need you in Japan. I need you to take over. He just told him, yeah, good. Yay, time for you to move. You need to go to Sony Computer Entertainment Japan, and I need you to run the business sector. You're in charge. And he's like, I'm a programmer. Like, I got some great stuff planned. He's like, yeah, I hear you. But yeah, no, you're going to Japan. And Sean Layden's like, and he started laughing, and Casarai's like, something funny? And he tells him things must be pretty bad if you need a programmer to take over the business sector of Sony Computer Entertainment Japan. And he told them, it can't be much, you can't make it any worse. So from that conversation, this is 2007. The PlayStation launched November 2006. This is literally maybe 5-6 months after the launch of PlayStation. So internally, Sony knew they fucked up big time. Yet publicly, everything's fine. Hell, we can't even find a PlayStation 3 on the store shelf. Yet in the background, they're like, man, we fucked up big time. Like, what the fuck are we going to do? What do you think about Sony telling us this now? Now that they're reflecting, they're telling us, hey, man, we kind of fucked up big time. Why are they telling us this now when that was 11 years ago? And but before we move on, Carlos Fernandez, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. He says it's all about preference. Some prefer 30, 60, 100. That CPU is a caveat for these consoles. Next gen better be an upgrade from this gen. No more Jaguar. Oh, definitely. I think that's going to be one of the biggest lessons learned from this gen to next gen is having the right CPU to actually handle. I think they went with Jaguar because they assumed a dedicated 8-core mobile processor is more than enough just to handle gaming, since that's all they're going to use it for. But I think they realize with the high demand of these games, they need a dedicated desktop type, or at least at a minimum, a laptop type CPU, but not a mobile tablet processor. Like at a minimum, something a laptop will use, but not, But anyway, so what do you think about Sony now engaging? They're telling us the real deal. They're telling us behind the scenes. Another thing, Yoshida, he admitted that the announcement of the price of the PS3 was a horrifying experience. They didn't mention that back then, but now he's saying internally, they realized that was probably a horrific moment in PlayStation history. They realized, holy shit, we really fucked this up. But obviously,
today.
Yeah, they never talked about that though. Back then, they kept the game face on. They were like, "Oh yeah, everything's fine. You're gonna buy 2 consoles. You're gonna get 3 jobs. I'll give you $100 if even somebody takes a picture." I remember Kuragi said that when he was approached telling people, "Hey, your console's not selling in stores everywhere." He's like, "Not for my metrics. I can't even find it." He goes, "In fact, I dare someone show me proof that there's PS3 on the shelf." You have no idea the floods of photos that man got sent on forums. It was ridiculous. They're like, there was PlayStations everywhere. But they put a game face on, pretending nothing's wrong. But now that they're talking about it, they're like, yo, the shit was bad. We're taking programmers and putting them as, like, we're firing people and we're putting programmers as heads of business sectors. And, like, it's crazy. So what do you guys think about that? Why now? Why is Sony telling us this now when it's like it's over? That was 11 years ago. Why are they bringing this up?
I think they're telling us that now to let us know that they've learned their mistakes in the past and they admitted their mistakes, and to kind of calm people down, because think about it, we're stepping up to the next generation coming up really soon in the near future.
Oh boy, Craig, you there?
They got him again, I think.
He got muted again. Oh man! All right, Craig, you take over. What do you think? Why now? Why is Sony talking about their mistakes now? Why are they admitting like, hey, we fucked up, Ron? Okay, good. Kratos is back. Hold up, Kratos is back. Let him finish.
Yeah, go ahead, Kratos.
But again, I think they want to put everybody's mind at ease and let them know that, look, we've grown, we've learned from our mistakes, we've steered the ship back on track, we're leading again. It's all about games. But this was our stumbling block. This is how we fell from grace, and this is how we recovered from that. And I think that's good for the industry. I think that will give Microsoft a benchmark to try something different. Try the things that they've tried. Some what you call it, non-conventional techniques. Try those, and maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll work.
Okay.
I think it settles, and it allows us to, I guess, a lot of gamers to start trusting them. Well, look, these guys admitted what we already knew. They just confirmed it, and they had PR spin for all the years of the PS3.
Yeah,
and now
there was a lot of spin.
Trust me, it was spin after spin after spin.
But you know what? The one thing I give them respect, they still talked about console sales, even though they were getting thrashed in the beginning. They didn't let that up. They still let people know, hey, this is how it is. The console sold this much.
This is why, though, Puerto Rock, is because they're a worldwide company. They don't have to just focus on just the US or Europe. So when you focus on the world, then your sales numbers look a hell of a lot better than it is just with one territory. So when you fail in, let's say, the US, which they did, they failed in the US for about 3.5 years before they was able to catch ground. Yeah. And I think in the US, they still lost in the US overall.
Yeah, they did. They lost bad.
Yeah, but worldwide, they came back and end up overtaking at the very end.
I think Sean Layden, he said they fought back to parity. So within the window of 360.
Exactly.
Which is pretty incredible for any platform, because most platform, let me raise your mic because some people saying your mic is low.
Okay.
Let me boost it up. But most people, most consoles, that level of mistake you can't recover. Because I had never seen a console make a mistake and recover in that fashion. Like never. Like Nintendo, the mistake with N64 using cartridges. I mean, they ended up selling 34 million. GameCube never recovered. I mean, there's a lot of Sega's a big example. Most companies don't recover from those huge mistakes, and yet Sony found a way to at least fight to parity in this industry.
No, yeah, that's. I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
Think of what they had going against them. They had price. They had lack of content. They had no rumble in the controller. They had all that stuff going against them.
A difficult architecture that companies
nobody knew how to program. I mean, it was anything that went wrong. That could go wrong for them went wrong.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? I think what saved them is they were able to recover, focus 100% on games, but also Microsoft stumbled too. Remember the red ring of death?
Yeah, that held them back a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if they wouldn't have had the red ring of death, I think they would. I think Sony definitely would have got.
No, here's the thing: some people look at the red ring of death as a benefit to Xbox because some people were saying that the refurbishing or the repurchasing of those consoles counted towards the sales of the Xbox.
That's
true.
Like if you remove all the red rings of death, what would be Xbox true sell total number?
Their true number is 53 million.
This guy said 3 million.
Listen,
no, 53 million.
Yeah,
no,
maybe
without the red ring.
Yeah, there may be some truth to that because if you think about it, Microsoft is always saying every single year that this system has outgrew the 360 at this point in time, and we're 5 years in. So that's very telling. It's not like within the next 2 years they're going to amass some hidden 30 to 40 million more consoles. I mean, come on, that's so that could be right.
Yeah. Hey, I know Savage Lobo, he asked a question, what about Wii U to Switch? Well, what I meant by comeback is not going from one platform, then you start a new generation over with a new platform. I mean within the same platform. Like, for example, Wii U started out bad, but let's say Nintendo makes the comeback, and now Wii U's selling like hotcakes and has all these great games. That's what I meant by I never seen that within a platform. Like, once a platform starts off bad, you're pretty much fucked for the rest of the gen. You have to release a new console to start all over. You know what I'm saying? That's what I meant. So like PS3, I never seen a console start out so negative and still end up selling like 80 million and still be regarded as having a lot of great games.
Yeah. Well, again, I
agree.
They caught up to them, but I just think I agree with J-Dub. They're setting the stage for the next generation. And they just want people to know that, I mean, like Jada, I mean, I agree. I mean, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. You want your consumer base to know if they make another investment, it won't be in vain. Like we as a company have learned what we should not be doing. That's why the whole thing, there was people in the chat talking about the PlayStation should be more powerful. And I'm like, well, if their goal is to give you native 4K gaming and some games at 60, maybe some higher, maybe some lower, if it hits those benchmarks, then they won't care about the power. They don't care about it now. You know, they're outselling everybody. So the power, if anything, you now have what, 8? Well, we don't know what June's MPD is going to be, but you got close to 7 months of sales, and Microsoft has had the most powerful console out, and they not winning. I mean, you know, so it's just but I wouldn't worry about the power set. I mean, the same with Microsoft, even if it's less powerful, which I heard is going to be, if it hits the benchmarks they needed to hit, they're not going to worry about it. They're going to be like, yeah, it's hitting the benchmarks we want it to hit. So, but yeah, I mean, Sony's going to get Sucker Punch and Naughty Dog. I mean, they've already went to them and asked them what they need for the next generation for their games to work. What are your plans for your games? You want bigger open worlds? Do you want it to be at 60? What do you think? And that's why we're seeing that game Ghost of Tsushima. It was nice to see Digital Foundry actually finally say Sucker Punch was one of the first-party studios that Sony specifically went to and helped design their PlayStation. You're seeing the benefits of it, even with their first game. It was that was 1080p. I think it was one of the first 1080p games ever done.
Okay.
So, but it's but as far as getting back to your question, it's you got to let your consumer base know that first things first, something's in the pipeline. Number two, it's okay to make the jump because we learned from the past. Hopefully they don't say stuff like you were saying, Porter Rock. Well, it's going to be so good, you're going to get a second job, or you're going to cut more lawns, paint more fences. Hopefully they say some shit like that.
And I think the fact that Yoshida said that the price announcement of the PS3 was a horrifying experience. I could see that to this day they look back and thinking that was probably the worst thing they ever done. So I'm confident when they release the next PlayStation 5.
$600?
Yo, that thing. And I know some people will defend it saying that, but it had a Blu-ray player, which at the time Blu-ray was around the cheapest, $1,500. But here's the thing. This goes back to what I was talking about when I was talking with Craig earlier, and you weren't in the room yet, about VR. The PlayStation console is a gaming platform. So when people think of buying a PlayStation, that's the whole point. Yeah. Telling somebody saying, well, Blu-ray's cheap, that's not what I'm buying a PlayStation for. Don't make me spend $600 for something that is designed to be a gaming console. And that's the lesson people have to learn. And I think that's where Sony at the time felt wrong. When people think of PlayStation, the number one go-to is, hey, we're buying a gaming console. This gaming console is going to have great third-party support, and it's going to have some of the best first-party games we will play in that generation. Do not do anything that's going to interfere from a consumer getting that console because it's too expensive, because you added something that's not really that important to the consumer.
That's correct. At the end of the you're right. At the end of the day, you got to realize, right? It's a gaming first and services and all that other crap later. And you have to remember the basic necessity of all of these machines is to game. Look at the Switch. Nobody cares how underpowered it is and stuff like that compared to the world's most powerful console.
Yeah. To any console, really. To even PC. It doesn't matter. Even the PC. Listen. Even the PC gamers are buying the Switch, and these are the guys that don't want to play at 30.
Yeah, they want to play those games. Yeah. I heard a PC guy today. I was listening to a debate with a PC guy and a console guy, and what they want. This guy. The cool thing about listening to those guys is that they ultimately you ask them the right questions, you peel that onion back, and what they want is for Sony just to be like Sega, because Sega at one point quit making consoles and just made games. Yeah. That's what they want Sony to do. They just want them to make games so that they can get them on their PC. That's it. That's what they want. That's why they're constantly screaming.
And I get that, but here's the thing. Look what Sega's become ever since they stopped making consoles. That fire of making the very best games, they kind of lost it. Like, rarely will you see a Sega game that's like top. It's like few and far between. Look at the Genesis era where they were just releasing fire after fire after fire. Oh my God.
Yeah.
They were, exactly. They were releasing more hits than Beyonce. It was ridiculous what they were doing. But they had
you know why that? Yeah, you know why? That's because they had the hardware that they had to support.
Yeah.
So that was that. We have to do this right now as a software developer. They don't have to publish or put anything out if they don't want to. There's no, hey, we have to hurry up and sell the software. We have to crank out games.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem that I have with Microsoft. If they go part of this play anywhere on any device thing, is you take away that incentive and that drive. But when you put a console on the market, you have to support it with games. You can't just say, okay, well, other people will eventually crank out stuff for it. That's not how it works.
Top Dog, thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate the support. He says, I hope the next Xbox is more powerful than PS5. Then the hardcore X fans will see that power doesn't matter. I can see what you're saying, because if both consoles start out the generation, right, and they come out the same year, and the Xbox is more powerful than PS5, I think it's going to be price comparison because I believe this. If the next Xbox is more powerful than PS5, the PS5 is going to be cheaper. I can't see the Xbox being significantly. I can't see another One X Pro scenario, yet they're both priced the same. I don't see that. If they both come out at $500, you're not going to see much of a power difference at all.
No.
They pretty much stretch the $500 that they can. Now, if there's a little bit of significance of power in the favor of the X, chances are X is like, I mean, the next Xbox is 500 and the next PS5 is 400. So now it comes with is that $100 difference worth it? Is paying that extra $100 worth it for that extra power? That's what the Xbox One didn't have. It didn't have a price advantage. People saw you don't have the price advantage, you don't have the power, and the camera you're selling us doesn't have games. So what are we doing? You understand what I'm saying? I think that was a huge reason, you know. So it's gonna be interesting on this next gen. Now to segue into the next topic, you mentioned Sega making games. So onto that, Yoshida's Sean Layden said that their philosophy when it comes to games, they have 3 criteria, right? The first criteria is try to make a game that's innovative, groundbreaking, genre defining, right? That's number 1. That's what they like to see. Number 2, if you're not going to do number 1 and you're going to make a game that's already in a genre that's already out there, are you making the game that you can say, oh yeah, this is going to be the number 1 game out there? Because if you tell Sony, nah, this is going to be like 3 and 4, Sony's going to be like, then we're not interested in it. We don't mind you making a game, but try to make the best game possible. That's criteria number 2. Their final criteria, they feel that some games just have to be made. It doesn't matter
if they lose money
it doesn't matter if there's no sales potential. It has to be made because the platform has to sell, and you need to release the content to make the people buy the platform, even at the risk of not making the money back. What do you guys think of that philosophy?
Man, you can't get a better admission and choice like that as a gamer, right? That means these guys are telling you, we don't care if we don't make a dime off of this game, such as Gravity Rush or some other game. We don't care. We need games to be out there in the market to bring people to our platform. It may not sell the millions of copies that Horizon Zero Dawn or Uncharted, but it may pick up, 10 people here, 10 people there over to the platform who care for those games.
Yeah.
Look at the indies.
It's like a jab. It's like boxing. It ain't the knockout blow, but it sets up for the big blows. A jab here, a jab to the stomach. Over time, it does work.
Well, people don't realize, Puerto Rock, now people say, oh, the first 3 years of this generation, PlayStation didn't have any games. They didn't have any big games. And it's like, here's the thing, you don't have to have big games as long as you have content constantly coming out. And that's something that PlayStation has done well this generation. They have, whether you like the game or not, you can call it jab crap, you can call it whatever. There is always something out there. It's
pretty much the list.
Yes. This is why the list wars matter, right? Because you can see 1,000 games over here versus 200 on this side. Sure, you might not care about 90% of those games on the other side, but it doesn't matter. That list look better, and to a lot of people, more is better.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think about that, Craig?
I agree. The bottom line is that you gotta. I mean, to me, I laugh at that notion because I remember when I wasn't on YouTube, but I just remember going to YouTube and there were people saying, well, those games don't count, talking about the first 2 to 3 years, because they're not AAA games. And Microsoft has more AAA games, therefore it's better. So, but even though, I remember 2014, Little Big Planet 3 came out, Until Dawn? I think that was the name of it. That came out. MLB The Show came out. Street Fighter 5, I think, came out in 2014. And I just remember the first 3 out of the first 5 months of the year, PlayStation had 3 exclusive games, and Microsoft had none. I mean, I think Titanfall came out, but that was multiplayer. So, but ultimately, you got to put a bunch of stuff out just to get out there. And like you were saying, even if it doesn't sell a whole lot, maybe you sell or you don't make a lot of money. Maybe you make enough money, you get a sequel, and then it comes out at the right time. You know, Gravity Rush, to me, it came out I think in February. That was a bad time. You know what I mean? Nobody's buying anything in February. It's actually a pretty decent game. But yeah, you've got to put, if you got a console or if you got something you want people to consume, you got to, especially a console or a PC, whatever, you got to put the software out until the big guns start revving up. And like people have said, Porter Rock, once Sony got that stride, it's like a sprinter. You know, once they got that stride going, it's going to keep going, and that's what we've seen so far.
Okay, all right. So, here's another thing. So Yoshida also, you know, like I said, there's constant conversation and memory throwback. I want you to find this interesting. I want you to. I'm gonna read this quote to you. Okay, Yoshida recalled when he first grown up with Ken Kutaragi to create the PlayStation. All the memories. I mean, these guys are young. Now, I want to see this. Okay, in terms of PlayStation, and see this mentality. Okay, and amidst the rabble of games, there was a new adventure game from Fumito Ueda and Team Ico, which found itself suffering from technical difficulties on the original PlayStation. I moved development from PS1 to PS2. Yoshida recalled of the project that would become Ico. Sounds familiar, right? Now, what he means by that, and I think most of us knew, but just in case you don't, he repeated the same history repeated itself with a game called The Last Guardian. It was originally a PS3 announcement, but because of the architecture, the little RAM, the game was having so much issues. I mean, he said, I think in one other article, he says the game at best was 15 frames, and they couldn't get it no higher because of the design of the console. So they halted the project and moved it over to PS4. So you figure PlayStation 4, Sony's, a lot of people talk trash, but in reality, Sony doesn't really like to cancel games. That's not really their thing. If they can try to release it, they will. If they cancel a game, then it has to be something is disastrous behind it. What do you think about that culture where they're the type of people that be like, you know what? Because you got to think about this. He did it during the PlayStation 1 era, and you're talking 95 to early 2000, right? When they moved the game from PS1 over to PS2. And now he repeated again from PS3 to PS4. So that's in their DNA. You know, if the game doesn't work for PS4, fine, put it on hold. We'll move it over to PS5. Oh, the game doesn't work on PS5? Put it on hold. We're going to check it on PS6. What do you think about this philosophy where they tried their best not to cancel games, and if they have to, move it over to the next generation of console gaming to see if that hardware could be the hardware to push out your vision?
Now that's, again, dude, they just have the IPs, and if it doesn't work, let's say this generation, they'll move it to the next.
Okay. Hey, I want to appreciate everybody up in the chat, enjoying the conversation. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you don't mind, please hit the like button and retweet us out of Twitter so we can get more people up in here to enjoy the fuckery.
Facts.
All right.
Yeah, but think about it, right? This is how, if you look at the catalog of Sony's IPs that they have, people are always asking for those older games, right? The SOCOM. Oh, I want another SOCOM, or I want another Siphon Filter, or I want another this or that. All these games that you remember from the PS1 days, the PS2 days, and so on and so on. So I think, I'm pretty sure there's a ton of games that they want to bring back. Maybe SOCOM is one of them. And I think
SOCOM's going to eventually come back because there's way too much traction on that game. There's just way too much. And Sony, and even Yoshida recently says he wish Sony was better at multiplayer. I think if there is one game that they're going to try to dip their toe in the pool again to see if the water's warm, it's going to be SOCOM.
Yeah.
Well, it better have a campaign.
Well,
yes, that's true.
That or a Resistance. They could move over to the Resistance series because technically,
I think SOCOM was bigger. I think SOCOM was so much bigger than Resistance.
It was right because SOCOM was one of the first games with
third person. Yeah, and it was third person.
Yep.
It wasn't. It was huge.
And that's what Sony does, right?
What happened?
Well, remember you had the headset and
Yeah,
SOCOM.
it came packed in.
Tell your team, breach and clear, or breach, clear the room certain ways and things like that. So that at the time, that's why when people are like, well, you can talk to the game. I'm like, they already did that on the place. I remember sitting down, putting on a headset, and not calling in the B2, actually going to freeing hostages. So that was SOCOM 1 and 2. I didn't play SOCOM 3 because I didn't get a PS3 because it was $600.
And you didn't want Blu-ray.
Yeah, I didn't get SOCOM 4 either because I was already done with it. That was
I mean, starting with 3, it was already going downhill, to be honest.
Going down.
No, because in that case, with SOCOM 3, they made it too big. It made a huge map, vehicles, you're driving around. And the truth is, what made SOCOM great was that it was literally, when you think of Navy SEALs, you don't think big warfare. It's small, tactical, engagements. And they made it too big for its own good, and stuff like that.
Yeah, SOCOM had stealth element. The 3 games I remember PlayStation, Tenchu, Siphon Filter, of course, the Final Fantasy, my God, and then the one we were just talking, 4 games that to me really made PlayStation stand out. All the Capcom, the Resident Evil games, stuff like that, all that, those are system selling games. But I agree. I heard other people say, Porterot, that SOCOM 3 was they said it was trying to be too much, versus small engagements with a skill team. You got a 4-man team. So you got a small team. Okay.
All right. So what's it? Is Kratos here? What happened? You good?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So let's say. All right. What was it? Another topic. Okay. Inside Xbox. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch it. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even know it was happening until I saw J-Wag's tweet, and I thought he was joking. And he's like, he thought I was trolling. I'm like, bro, I didn't even know this was happening. And then from what I found out, they unveiled a controller. The biggest news is another new controller, which is this at this point is not even a joke anymore. And Rocket League on Game Pass. So in reality, what is this show for? Like, what is it doing for anybody?
Go ahead, Jada. Go ahead, brother.
I can tell you what it's doing, right? It's kind of redirecting, because right now, when you don't have a lot of content coming out, you have to keep you got to keep people talking about you some kind of way, right? If it's not, if you don't have PR going and spin and buzz around your name, you die out. So this was a show to kind of keep Microsoft and Xbox on people's mind, whether it's negative, whether it's good, whether you like it or not. For a large chunk of this generation, the conversation, Sony has controlled the narrative. I mean, think about it. If Microsoft comes out tomorrow with some great news, Sony will be the next day, maybe an hour later, with some better news that people care about. They'll drop, hey, a new SOCOM is coming, in 2025, and that takes the narrative away from that. So I think this is their narrative controlling for Microsoft, where this is a show people talk about Xbox and controllers and everything else, and it's a way to control the narrative. And I think it's doing what it's designed to do. I think most people don't care about it, but it keeps people talking. Look on Twitter. What happened today? Another controller. Well, and you got tweets going about. So people are buzzing, about hashtag Xbox. Whether it's good or bad, it keeps the conversation going.
How about you, Craig?
Yeah, I agree. You got to understand where Microsoft is with their console. And this show, again, here's what cracks me up about this. Microsoft never comes out and says it's going to be A, B, and C. It's always these simp-ass fanboys who say it's going to do this, it's going to be that. And maybe after getting hit in their balls 3 or 4 times, they stop talking about it. So, and so just to me, they're the problem. But ultimately, you need to keep people engaged. It's a way for them to engage people. I think, do they stream it? I don't know if they stream it on the Xbox or something like that, but they can see how many people are actually watching. They did. I think they talked about No Man's Sky as well. I think Forza 4 and yeah, Rocket League, which they made fun of. I mean, again, their fanboys years ago made fun of. You know, so and then when it went to Xbox, it was the greatest thing since, you know, a belt buckle. You know, so it's a lot of it. I agree with what just said. You've got to engage the people that you got, because what else are they talking about? And like you said here, it's been slow in the what do you all call it? The YouTube gaming streets.
YouTube,
So,
YouTube streets.
I mean, there's news out there, but ultimately you have to really, nothing's jumping out. And so ultimately, it's just a way for Microsoft to stay engaged with their hardcore fans that are still, like you said, still following it. Yeah, I heard it was trash too, but I never watched any of them because I keep seeing pictures of some grown-ass man with white gloves, and that's all I keep seeing. You know, so, you know, that's, and if I want to watch an unboxing of another joystick, I don't understand that. That's what's wrong with the joystick that they came out with the Xbox X. That's what I don't understand. You know, so they would have to explain that.
Well, I hear people saying, you know, it's for the fans. It's for the Xbox fans, and you know, if they're happy with it, then that's fine. But I think to a lot of PC and Nintendo and PlayStation, they don't care.
All right, so
they don't care.
Okay, so here's the thing. So for next gen, we'll start with the PlayStation. Well, we'll just talk with PlayStation 5. Oh. What would you like to see from Sony from the PlayStation 5 when the E3 comes out, whatever year it is, 2019, 2020, and they'd be like, hey, this is a PlayStation 5. What conversations would you like to see Sony have about it?
I'd like to see this generation brought the YouTubers. This brought the content creator. That's how I sum up this generation.
Oh, you're cutting in and out.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah. This generation brought the content creators, and I want to see them next generation. I want to see them whether it's basically doing to like that from the system itself, being video chat, being able to expand the streaming capability, being able to record in 4K, content side of it. I pretty much think we're going to get our 60 frames. That's what we're asking. Not it could be checkerboarded 4K. I think that, but I want them to continue to make games, and I don't want them to stop. I want them it has to be about the games. No other narrative. Games.
Okay, cool. What about you, Craig?
I mean, if they just walk out there and they give us a good, fair price, and then I'll have to make a decision from there. As far as what I expected to be able to do, just I have no issue with the dynamic or checkerboard. I prefer 1440p. So maybe some gaming at that level at higher frame rates. That way the people who are really concerned with the frame rates will get something. Because again, so this based on what a lot of developers seem to be trending towards, they're going to bigger worlds. I mean, say what you want about Halo, that world that they showed, it looked massive. So, and I think that's what I got out of that whole trailer at their E3. But I just think developers are going to bigger type of games. And, you know, we won't see a 4K Blu-ray because shout out to Dark Cloud. He was just saying the other day that Sony's 4K Blu-ray is the #1 Blu-ray player in the world. So they're not going to stick one somewhere else. They're going to say if you want it, go get it. We got the #1 player in the world. So, just maybe maybe Dolby Vision on this one. I know a lot of TVs are really starting to move towards that. I've seen that kind of starting to trend. And yeah, hopefully it comes with a decent headset. Just give me a decent headset, not no earpiece. My God, get some kind of ear infection.
Bring back the SOCOM headset.
There you go.
Yeah, bring that one back. I remember that one was, but that was, golly, I remember having to run out and find that, man. That brings back memories right there. But for me, I don't know about like I said, the whole 4K thing natively. I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn. It's the best looking game I've seen. No disrespect to Kratos and his child, but I'm sorry, you just can't compare what I'm looking at. What I'm seeing, color palette and things like that, but ultimately, yeah, this, like J-Dub said, this keep bringing the games, launch with at least 4 big titles, a Gran Turismo, a Horizon sequel, maybe some DLC for The Last of Us 2 will come out. We may see something like that. So, and a retro game, like a Siphon filter or something like that, a SOCOM, just to kind of get everybody involved.
Hey, shout out to Carlos Crespin for the super chat. Thank you so much. He said a Vita 2 for PS5 games on the go. You know what? Carlos, thank you so much for that super chat, because you just reminded me of something that I'm also nervous about. Is the thought of Sony going with a Switch type platform where you take your games on the go, but you dock the peripheral into a docking station for better performance. What's your take if Sony went in that direction with the PS5?
I'm going to tell you this. As the day of the Game Boy, and I've seen plenty of competition come and go, from Tiger Handheld to all kind of replicas, to the Game Gear, to the Nomad, to all of these mobile, Turbo Express, just all that Neo Geo Pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has been able. Nobody has. Nobody to crack that code and challenge Nintendo in the way that they need it to be challenged in the handheld. And believe it or not, I'm willing for Sony to sit this out and just. I want guys to just get. Nintendo's the best. They're the best at what they do. It's just, as much as we want this mobile handheld to do this and have all this power and play our PS4 and PS5 games, we're not willing to do that. We're just not, because that type of console will be more expensive than the PS5. So a gamer just don't think they're ready for it.
How about you, Craig? What do you think about that?
As far as a handheld?
Yeah, they're going the Switch route. The PS5 is a hybrid.
I don't know. That's a market that Sony seems to what it seems like they've been able to do is identify what their strengths and weaknesses are, and that market is gobbled up by cell phone users and the Switch, quite frankly.
Yep.
And, so I don't know if they they may, I'm not saying not to, but Sony is to much to their chagrin, like you said, Puerto Rock, about the multi-plat games that they've publicly said, they wish they had done a better job, or I'm just kind of paraphrasing what they said, but sometimes you got to get in where you fit in, and that may not be where they want to be as far as a major investment.
Yeah. I'm gonna just outright say it will be an absolute disaster. And I'm not even. I'm gonna tell you number one why. Number one, because of portability, you have to sacrifice hardware, because in order to get powerful hardware into a portable device, the device has to be expensive. You're not gonna get. Look at the Switch now. The Switch cannot run games that a PS4 console, not even PS4, the Xbox One from 2013 is more powerful than the Switch. You see what I'm saying? Because you can only pack in so much in a small frame and keep it still at a low cost. You know what I'm saying? Because you could technically make a handheld that's as powerful as a 1080 Ti. It's just going to cost you $3,000. to get it.
Well, not only that, Porter Rock, you'll only get 2 minutes of battery life.
Yeah, that's another.
What's the sense of having? What's the sense of having? Right, that you have to charge every 20 minutes. I mean,
yes,
people are gonna kill it.
So if Sony goes for this thing, they're gonna have to sacrifice a certain level of performance, which puts them in danger of not getting certain games, even if it's just a few games. But imagine if Rockstar says, because Sony designed this product, we can't put Grand Theft Auto 6 on it, so it's pretty much only going to be on PC and Xbox. How big of a disaster would that be?
Yep,
that's okay for Nintendo because that's okay for Nintendo because Nintendo for like the last decade or more hasn't gotten much third-party support. So that's not a new concept for us. But imagine a PlayStation console not getting the next Battlefield, not getting the next Grand Theft Auto, not getting the next Red Dead Redemption, not getting Witcher 4.
Yeah. Sony can't afford another mark.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they would be willing to risk that. I think the situation was VR, in which they came out on top. They came out on top regarding that. So
yeah. All right. So that was thinking. All right. So I'm gonna cut the show in right here. Unless you guys got something you wanna cut it up with.
That's it, man. I can't wait for next year. We still got generation, and I think generation has proven that power without software equals. And if you look at the quality of games that we're getting now from Sony, I mean, generation just is going to throw it over the.
Oh man! Oh man, you're cutting in and out bad.
Yeah, I don't disagree. They've this has been like I said, I don't have a whole lot to add. Check out Comic-Con. Follow me for some Comic-Con coverage next week. They got a Wonder Woman trailer apparently. They've got an Aquaman trailer. So
really,
we're gonna check that out.
Comic-Con is this? Which city?
Comic-Con San Diego starts next week. Brendan's out there. He's going to host a panel. I think he's hosting it tonight. This is an early panel. And maybe some Sony's out there in force because they've got 2 Spider-Man movies, both of them animated. And then they've got the Venom movie. So they're out there in full force. They may have some gameplay of new Spider-Man. Allegedly, it may be out there as well. So, and just follow me for that. I'll definitely give updates on that.
All right, cool, man. All right, so you can check out everybody on their channels. Hey, this is your boy Porter Rock 77, your only friend on these YouTube streets. Thank you for rocking out with us. I hope you enjoyed this show and this conversation. Hey, hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. All right, we'll see you guys next week, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern. And hopefully all day we'll get his goddamn headset. God damn it, all day. I'm watching you, brother. All right, hey, everybody take care, man. All right, hey, you all enjoy your upcoming weekend. And I'm out. We're all out of here.
Peace.
Peace.